wide receiver, top 5.
Pretty straightforward at this point. Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams.
Yep, I got Jefferson, Hill, Diggs third, Chase, then Adams. So that Chicago defense, I mean, sheesh,
Yeah.
they just got lit up by both. Like Jalen Hurts, that was enough. I was looking at my passing yardage for Hurts, and I'm like, I think I have it too. I had it like at 250 something. I'm like, I'm like, the market is at like 230, like 220 something. And then sure enough, he goes up. So like, it's just the Chicago defense. You know, it's just bumping up these court. It's just they're just giving up yardage, and they don't really have a lot of talent on that defense because remember, they traded a lot of guys, so the pass rush isn't really getting home. So I think they can bleed passing yards. So that's why I have Diggs over Chase, who Belichick. I don't know what he's got in store. But Adams did kind of go missing against the Patriots. So that's why I have Diggs.
Is this a Gabe Davis nuclear week? Potentially.
Gabe Davis has always been like my wide receiver 40. Like he's kind of gone missing. So I hope so, but
against this Bears defense, if he can't do it here.
Let's see. I still have him wide receiver 35. Diggs is the one that kind of jumps more.
Obviously, there's no disputing that, but I'm just saying there's been a lot of things going against Gabe Davis. I've been with you. It's been, a damn shame being low on him every week, but this is a week where he could, pop off, and he's right there on that fringe sit start.
Yep.
So, it's one of those weeks you don't want to have him on your bench when he goes off for 3 touchdowns and 200 yards. But if there were a week where it could happen, it'd be here.
All right. Who are you high on?
So I'm super high on Juju Smith-Schuster. He's all the way up to my wide receiver 15 right now. The consensus is wide receiver 22, which is kind of shocking because he's been going off the past couple weeks. He has 2 games in a row with 9 or more receptions. Ever since he got eased back in week 12, we were kind of wondering what the hell's going on there. He's averaged an 85% routes run rate. This is a good matchup for him on multiple aspects. That Seattle plays zone at the second highest rate. His yards per route run are 1.7 against man. They go up to 2.4 against zone. He should also avoid Tariq Woolen in the slot for the most part. Should mainly match up against Kobe Bryant, who's allowed 75% catch rate. So, he's a solid wide receiver 2 option this week. Very high floor, which is great for the fantasy playoffs. When you're in a must-win game, you definitely want to go at the high floor. So love him. And then have to go with one of our former fantasy flex favorites in KJ Osborne. He's my wide receiver 42. The consensus is wide receiver 58, but he's also been on fire, obviously coming off that massive 10-catch, 157-yard game last week. I don't think he'll be able to keep that up. Like I said, I don't think Kirk Cousins will be averaging 435 yards a game going forward. But, this defense is horrible, so they're kind of going to have to throw a lot to keep up. And, he's kind of feeling – Adam Thielen's dropping off quite a bit recently. So, Osborne's kind of filling that role. It would not surprise me if he's their wide receiver 2 next season. I just like his floor here. Again, I don't think he's going to pop off for, 100 yards again the rest of the season, but, 4 or 5 catches for 60 yards, maybe a touchdown going forward. That's kind of where he's been settling. So I consider him, high-end wide receiver 4 option this week against the Giants.
Yeah, I like him as well. He, this defense for the Giants, they play man coverage at the highest rate in the league because they love to blitz. And Osborne averages nearly a half yard more per route against man coverage. So, the fact that he went off against the Colts, who play more zone, is a good sign. But this is actually the kind of defense that he tends to go off against. He has 3 touchdowns against man coverage this year, which is second on the Vikings. So, yeah, yep. I think Osborne's a good bet to find the end zone.
Good point. And his target share jumps up 2%. When facing the blitz. So there's just a lot of reasons to like him this week.
I'm also high on Marquise Goodwin. He should be subbing in for Tyler Lockett in a game where the Seahawks are going to have to throw, you would think, because they're playing the Chiefs. So, they don't really have, they're going to have Treadwell elevated. They'll have Derek Young and Penny Hart behind DK Metcalf. So I think Marquise Goodwin could see Tyler Lockett like snaps, 90% plus. And in a matchup where, again, Geno's like you're talking about a guy who caught 8 touchdowns this year, and pretty much every week in, week out was just one of Geno's top targets with, let's see, what is it? 5.6 catches, 69 yards per game they're missing with Tyler Lockett, and then 8 touchdowns in those 14 games. So I think Marquise Goodwin, maybe not the touchdowns, but I think he's a good bet to get a decent amount of catches and yardage, kind of out of necessity here for the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, no, I love that call, especially if you're like a big underdog. Roll the dice on Goodwin. He just has a massive ceiling in this matchup. And it's really hard to sort out how they're going to handle the wide receiver 3 option. I mean, you threw their names out. Like it's going to be more targets for Goodwin. They have that 3-headed tight end monster. They're just fighting for targets. So just the Goodwin, he's a low floor option, obviously, but his ceiling in this spot with Lockett out is just massive. And Kenneth Walker's banged up again. He what's up with that? Like if he's out, they could have to throw even more.
Yeah. I'm not projecting Walker out as of now, but that is a good point. That would raise Geno's touchdown projection a little, because Kenneth Walker scores so many touchdowns.
Yeah.
All right. Who are you low on?
So I'm low on Jahan Dotson. Again, this is a tough matchup against 49ers. So he's my wide receiver 54. Consensus is, wide receiver 42. And, he continues to be a touchdown machine, scoring yet again last week. He also cleared 100 yards for the first time, 4 catches for 105 yards and a touchdown. However, he just has a low floor, especially in this matchup against San Francisco. He's, a player with a very high ADOT. I think it's like over 16 right now. So he just has a wide range of outcomes. So if you're a big underdog and you want to tap into his upside, go for it. But if you're in a must-win game, you have to be careful. He does have, 2 catch, 30-yard, no touchdown floor. And like I said earlier with Brian Robinson, Washington has the 5th lowest team total this week. So a player that has relied on touchdowns up until last week, pretty heavy this season, his odds of scoring a touchdown this week are lower. So I would just be careful with him. He's being ranked in that wide receiver 4 range, but I consider him more of a wide receiver 5 option. And then next week against Cleveland, sure, maybe he's in that wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 range, but I'm low on him this week. And then I'm low on Amari Cooper and Chris Olave here. I have them both, wide receiver 36, 37 respectively. And then the consensus is wide receiver 24 and 23. I'm getting ahead of the potential heavy snow again this week.
Here we go.
And here we go. I'm more just preparing people, putting the sandbags up, getting ready for this. I actually, once we got closer to kickoff with Buffalo, Miami, it looked like, it was going to be pretty clear for most of the game. So I bumped everybody up except for Tua, unfortunately. But this game does look like it's going to be a snowball. The total's down to 31.5 here. So, Cooper and Olave would certainly be impacted by that. So they're going to be on that, wide receiver 3, wide receiver cusp at least. So just start preparing for it. That's all I'm saying is they might, get a pretty big downgrade here. So just if you're relying on them, look for alternative options. We might still end up playing them this week, but we're gonna have to wait and see how this forecast shapes up.
Yeah, well, you said you have them 32, 33?
36 and 37. I'm just anticipating. It's all about the total. Like I said last week, I had the total for that Bills game at 51.5. So when the total was 41.5 or whatever, that's a pretty big impact. And certainly you can make a case, the Snovers, that sort of thing. But this game, I have the projected total around 43.5. So the fact that the market's already at 31.5, having it that low, I just think that it seems like a lock. We're going to see not only snow, but the wind. That's the most important thing.
It's like 25. The forecast calls 25 mile per hour plus winds.
I saw gusts of 45.
Yeah. And that could just. So I think the Raiders and Browns had a game in that kind of weather. No snow or anything, but it was a couple years ago. But it was it ended 13-6 or something silly that. No one could kick a field goal, and it was just
so that's one of the many reasons why I think Cooper, and especially Olave, he relies on those deep balls. You just have to start preparing that they might not be viable this week.
Yeah, I have him 31 and 33. Cooper 31 and Olave 33. So I'm still lower than consensus, not quite that low, but yeah, the total is really impacting their not getting much touchdown love and the total of 31. I am low on Jacoby Myers this week. First of all, we don't know what the repercussions are going to be for making the worst play in NFL history. But also, look at his first 8 games played. He ran a route on 93% of the dropbacks. And the last 3, that's dropped to 57%. Now, he has had some injuries, kind of been in and out of some games. But last week, he came back and he was healthy as far as we know. And he ran only 70%. Around on 70% of the dropbacks, and he operated as the wide receiver 3. Like he was behind Thornton and Aguilar, who played almost every snap. So going forward, and there was another game a couple of weeks ago when all 5 of their top receivers were healthy, and Myers was around 60% routes run. So, I don't think we can trust him as this guy that's going to just be this, go-to guy for the Patriots anymore. Because they're just kind of doing that thing where they, every week it's like something different and you never really know who's going to be the guy that they want to give a bunch of snaps to. So especially after what happened last week, he is way down for me at a wide receiver 56, and consensus is still wide receiver 39. I think that's too high. And I totally agree with Dotson. I think that's a great call. He's much better against man coverage. I remember I said and convinced me I liked him for anytime touchdown because I think he had 4 touchdowns on 10 targets heading into that game against man coverage, and he got another one. But San Francisco plays zone at the 6th highest rate, and San Francisco is, number 5 in pass defense. The Giants are 24th, and Dotson against zone coverage defenses just 0.8 yards per route, 1.7. I think you mentioned it against man. So that's almost a yard per route drop off. So I think his floor is probably even lower than 2 catches, 30 yards. It's like no catches.
Yes, exactly.
So it's like I think last week was the week to be on him, and I think now people are kind of it's a rookie. Oh, it's end of the year. Yes, he's trending up, but he's kind of everything we've seen from him. This is not the kind of matchup that he tends to have success in.
Yeah, good call on Myers. I mean, they even before the fumble. He didn't play in 2 wide receiver sets. Usually he does. It was Tyquan Thornton, which is surprising. So yeah, Belichick, guys get in the doghouse for just fumbling the ball. I wonder what kind of doghouse he's in for lateraling it back for 20 yards to lose the game. But was that -4 points for fantasy?
Yeah, it was minus. Yeah, I think it was -20. He had -20 rushing yards and a fumble. Yeah. So
good Lord. So yeah, I'm low on him as well. But that was the play of the week, in my opinion. Just a lot to dissect with that. Like I was on Twitter, I was trying to figure out whose fault was it? Was it Stevenson for just like starting the whole sequence of events? Myers for just the worst play, and then just Mac Jones, no effort. I don't think we can really count on him to tackle Chandler Jones, but at least put up some effort. He just laid down and got.
I feel like Mac Jones definitely takes the least blame because number one, he was probably shell shocked that Myers was throwing his pass to him, and number 2, the minute because it was the pass was supposed to go to him, but it didn't. So then he's got to locate them. Oh well, it's going right to Chandler Jones, and the minute Jones caught it, he just stiff armed her. Nothing really you could do about that. I think Stevenson and Myers share blame. Stevenson shouldn't have been lateraling it, but Myers he ran backwards first of all, and then why? Have you seen Mac Jones run? Why
I know that's what was going to happen if you throw it. Now the ball is now 20 yards behind you, and Mac Jones now has to juke out Chandler Jones. Where was he going with that? It was just spur of the moment. He took ownership of it, but still, just crazy.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what we're gonna.
What do you got for the props, man? A lot to choose from.
Go with Zay Jones.
Oh,
he's been balling, but he's going against the Jets. Tough matchup.
Fantasy Flex favorite.
Yeah, but you got to make the start-sit decision on him pretty quick this week because it's a Thursday night game. Another team of the road team, total of the Jaguars. So I'm gonna put his receiving yardage at 55.5.
Holy shit. So I have him at 55. I'm always interested in investing in Zay Jones, specifically his overs.
Okay.
But his median is going to be lower because I have his projection at 55. So I'll go under here, but that's a good line. You know, he is going to have the tougher matchup on the outside here. I think this could be a sneaky Christian Kirk game. Yeah, so he'll probably line up against Sauce half the time and DJ Reed half the time. So that's a tough matchup. And you know, I'm projecting Lawrence for closer to 240 passing yards. I think you said you're right there too, right?
Yep.
It looks like the initial market, the sports books have Lawrence at 225.
Whoa,
so they're even lower. So yeah, I'll just go with the under here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna
225 is probably too low.
I'm not gonna lower it just because the sportsbook have it there, but
Right.
that is quite interesting. That, you know, because I don't know, the sportsbooks passing props have been all over the place this year.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
it almost is more tilting to look at them early in the week to just,
and
then you're like, wait, what's going on here? But no, that's quite interesting. I mean, it is a Thursday game, and it's already, you know, we're recording this on a Tuesday, so that, you know, that's somewhat a sharp line, I guess, because it's out. It's 2 days.
Yep.
What, 48 hours to game time or something. So
yep.